As we move forward, I'll show you why your nervous system keeps reaching for what your mind has already outgrown and why walking away hasn't given you the relief you hoped for. We start here together with this simple shift. It's never about what's wrong with you. It's about what happened to you and how your body learned to survive things you were too young to name. When we talk about childhood trauma, we're not only talking about big dramatic events, we're also talking about the quieter wounds. The moments when you needed comfort, no one noticed, when you needed protection and no one came, when your small voice was too soft for the adults around you to hear. Emotional neglect is just that, growing up without enough warmth, attention, or safety for your nervous system to feel held. It's like trying to grow roots in soil that was hard and cold, even if the people around you meant well. And the truth is, every one of us adapted. We learned to read the room before we could read words. We learned to keep the peace, to stay small, to stay useful. Some of us became caretakers, some became invisible. Some clung tightly, afraid to lose whatever affection appeared. Others learned to leave before they could be left. These aren't flaws. These are intelligent responses. The body's way of saying, let me protect you. Our systems did the best they could with the world we grew up in. But here's where things get tangled. What once kept us safe can start to misfire in adulthood. We chase the familiar chaos because it feels like home. We avoid healthy love because it feels strange. We cling to partners who hurt us because our younger self still believes that pain is the price of connection. There is nothing defective about this. There is only a nervous system that learned its lessons early and has been trying with all its strength to keep us alive ever since. And as we move forward, we'll explore how we can honor those old survival strategies while gently teaching the body a new way, one that doesn't depend on fear, confusion, or loss. She never planned to choose distant men. It just kept happening, quietly, almost rhythmically, like a song her body knew by heart. Her name is Layla. On paper, she's confident, steady job, good friend, the one people call when life is falling apart. But in her relationships, something tightens in her chest the moment a man gets too close. And somehow, without trying, she always ends up with the ones who keep her at arm's length. The latest one, Daniel, was no different. He wasn't cruel. He was just absent in a way that felt strangely familiar. He texted back when he remembered. He said the right things, but with a softness that never fully reached his eyes. When they sat together on the couch, his body angled slightly away, not enough to be rude, but enough that she always leaned in a little more than he did. One night they were eating dinner at a small cafe, a quiet place with flickering candles and mismatched chairs. Layla asked him how his week had been. Daniel shrugged, said, fine, and checked his phone. She nodded, smiled, asked another gentle question. She could feel herself doing it, stretching to reach him the way a plant turns its whole body toward a thin strip of light. After dinner, as they walked to the car, he slipped his hand into his pocket instead of holding hers. That tiny motion, so ordinary, so small, landed in her chest like a familiar ache. But rather than stepping back, she stepped closer. She told herself he was tired. He was stressed. He just needed time. She always had a story to explain the distance. Later that night, lying in bed, she replayed the evening. She felt a loneliness blooming in her ribs, that hollow, echoing space she'd known since childhood. She remembered being 8 years old, sitting at the kitchen table doing homework while her mother stood at the sink, silent, exhausted, lost in her own world. Layla would tilt her paper toward the light, waiting for her mother to glance over to say something, anything. But the attention rarely came, so she learned to make herself smaller, quieter, easier to love. With Daniel, that old pattern rose up like muscle memory. She didn't choose him with her mind. Her body recognized him. His distance felt like home. And still, every time he pulled away, she felt that flicker of hope. Maybe if I'm patient. Maybe if I don't need too much. Maybe if I love him the right way. It was the same childhood strategy, now dressed in adult longing. But something was shifting. One evening, after another half-answered text from Daniel, Layla sat on the edge of her bed and whispered, almost afraid to hear herself, "Why does this feel so familiar?" It was the first time she questioned the pull instead of following it. 3 insights rise from her story. First, when we grow up with adults who are emotionally distracted or unavailable, our nervous system learns that distance is normal, even safe, and we unconsciously seek it again. Second, when our early signals for closeness go unanswered, we learn to overfunction. We reach more, we try harder, we shrink ourselves to fit the other person's capacity. Third, the ache we feel with distant partners isn't only about the present relationship. It's an echo of the child still waiting for someone to turn toward them with full attention. And yet, in that small moment on the edge of her bed, that tiny pause, Layla felt something new begin to rise inside her, like a thin beam of light finding its way through long cracked roots. He always looked put together from the outside. Crisp shirts, quick replies, calendar color-coded down to the half hour. People admired him for being on top of things, but no one saw how much of his life was built on the art of disappearing from himself. His name is Armand. Every morning he woke before sunrise, not because he loved discipline, but because stillness made his chest tighten. The quiet was dangerous. It left too much room for the feelings he'd spent years outrunning. So he filled it, emails, tasks, plans. He moved fast, as if speed itself could keep the path from catching him. In the office, he was the reliable one, the man who never said no, never missed a deadline, never showed a crack. He felt the pressure in his jaw, always slightly clenched. He couldn't sit through a meeting without his leg bouncing under the table, a restless rhythm he didn't notice anymore. Evenings were the hardest. After a day held together by productivity, his body sagged the moment the door clicked shut behind him. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. So he grabbed his phone, scrolling like it was oxygen. News, reels, clips, 2-hour rabbit holes of nothing that kept him from hearing the faint hum of sadness beneath his ribs. Some nights he poured himself one drink, something smooth, something that warmed the edges of the ache, and then another. Not enough to look like a problem from the outside, but enough to blur the sharp corners inside him. He told himself he deserved it, he worked hard. But the truth was simpler. He didn't know how to be alone with himself without drowning. He carried a secret weight he never spoke about. When he was a boy, the house was tight with tension. A father who shut down when he was overwhelmed, a mother who moved through the days like a ghost. Armand learned early that nobody had space for his feelings, so he buried them. Over time, the burying became automatic, a reflex, a survival skill. That's why the question was never, why does he drink? Why does he scroll? Why does he work until he's hollow? The real question, the human one, is why the pain he couldn't speak, why the loneliness he didn't know how to soothe, why the child who learned to disappear to stay safe. One night, after hours of scrolling, his phone slipped from his hand. The screen froze on a bright image of strangers laughing. But beneath the noise, he finally felt something rise. A soft, unfamiliar ache, not the old sharp pain he'd run from, something gentler. A tired truth surfacing after years underwater. He sat there in the dim light, breathing slowly, palms warm against his knees. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't reach for distraction. He didn't fix, he didn't numb. He just listened to the quiet he'd been avoiding, and it didn't swallow him, it held him. 2 questions can begin opening that same door for us. What am I trying not to feel right now? And what younger part of me is asking to be seen, gently, at last? Implicit memory is the kind of memory that doesn't use words. It lives in the body, in breath, muscle tension, heartbeat, instinct. It's the part of us that remembers how something felt long after the mind has let the story fade. One way to picture it is this. Your nervous system is like a smoke alarm wired in childhood. If the house you grew up in had real fires, conflict, unpredictability, silence that felt like danger, your alarm learned to scan for smoke constantly. And even years later, In a completely different house, it can still go off at the faintest hint of heat. Not because you're dramatic or too sensitive, but because the wiring was built for survival. This is the mind-body connection in its simplest form. Your body reacts first, your thoughts arrive second. And there's nothing shameful about that. The alarm isn't malfunctioning. It's doing what it was trained to do. It just hasn't been updated to the reality of your life now. Think about a moment when someone you care about takes too long to text back. Your chest tightens, your stomach drops, your mind starts spinning. Stories, did I do something wrong? Are they pulling away? From the outside, it looks like overreacting, but inside, it's the old smoke alarm hearing echoes of earlier times when silence meant danger, abandonment, or emotional coldness. The body remembers that fear even if the adult part of you knows this person is simply busy. When you see it this way, the reaction makes sense. It's protective, not pathological. It's your younger self tugging at your sleeve, trying to warn you before you get hurt again. And here's the hopeful part. Alarms can be recalibrated gently, slowly, through safety, through awareness, through small moments of noticing, oh, this fear is old, this tension isn't about now. Every time we name what's happening without judgment, the wiring softens a little. The body learns it doesn't have to shout to be heard. This is how healing begins, not by forcing the alarm to quiet, but by listening to what it's been trying to tell you all along. The first steps in healing have to feel gentle, practical, and safe. Small enough that your body doesn't feel overwhelmed, but meaningful enough that something inside you begins to shift. Start with an awareness journal. Nothing complicated, just a few lines a day. What happened? When did the feeling rise? Who was involved? What did your body do? This isn't for analysis. It's for noticing patterns your mind has been too tired to hold. Writing it down helps your nervous system slow the moment enough for you to actually see it. When you feel triggered, try asking yourself two compassionate inquiry questions. What part of me is hurting right now? And what does this part need? Comfort, space, reassurance, support. These questions turn a spiral into a moment of contact with yourself. They shift you from self-blame to curiosity. Add one somatic pause each day, just 20 to 30 seconds. 3 slow breaths, feet on the ground, look around the room, and name 3 things you see. This helps your body register safety in the present rather than bracing for the past. Choose one boundary to practice this week, just one. Maybe it's replying later instead of immediately, saying I need a minute, or ending a conversation when your body feels overwhelmed. A single boundary teaches your nervous system that protection can be quiet and doable, not dramatic or risky. Reach for one safe connection, a trusted friend, a support group, a therapist or counselor, someone who can hold space without judgment. Safety in even one relationship begins rewiring the alarm system inside you. Each of these steps works because they give your body and mind small experiences of choice, clarity, and safety. The very experiences that were missing when your early patterns formed. And if you ever feel stuck, overwhelmed, or uncertain, consider connecting with a mental health professional who can offer steady, trained support as you move through this work. When we step back, we can see how Layla's reaching and Armand's numbing were never failures, just 2 different ways wounded roots learned to survive in hard soil. And now, with these tools, we're inviting those roots to feel something new. The awareness journal, the gentle questions, the somatic pause, the small boundary, the safe connection, each one is like a thin line of light finding its way through cracks that have been sealed for years. This isn't quick work. Change doesn't rush. It settles in slowly the way dawn seeps into the ground. Before anyone notices, safety first always. Tiny wins count. The pause before reacting, the moment you name a feeling, the day you choose connection instead of hiding. These are not small things. They are the beginnings of light rising through cracked roots, showing your system that there's room to grow in a new direction, one soft, steady inch at a time. You've carried so much for so long, often without language, often without anyone noticing the weight. If you feel tired right now, or tender, that's okay. It means something inside you is finally loosening its grip, not because you're failing, but because you're safe enough to feel again. And there is real relief in knowing you don't have to untangle everything at once. Healing doesn't demand perfection, it asks only for presence, one honest moment at a time.